Hi guys, good morning everyone. In the last session, we discussed about what is REST template and what is web client. REST template is a predefined class in the Spring Web MVC. It is used to send requests to the server by using methods which are available. So we have several methods like get for entity, post for entity, put for entity, delete for entity methods available. But the main difference between the REST template and web client, REST template supports only synchronous communication, nothing but after sending the request, we have to wait for the response from the provider. Then only our thread will continue its execution. Whereas if you go for asynchronous request, after sending the request, we no need to wait for the response. We can continue our execution. So when we want to work with asynchronous requests, then we need to use web client. This web client is an interface that supports both synchronous communication as well as asynchronous communication. In order to work with the web client, we need to use Webflux Starter. This Webflux Starter will provide Netty as the default embedded container. Now, we have developed IRCTC API. That IRCTC API we are accessing by using Make My Trip application. So Make My Trip application is communicating with the IRCTC application by using this REST template. Now I want to communicate with IRCTC application by using web client. Okay. Now how can we do this by using web client? Let me develop the UI application by using web client. File, new project. So I'm going to create one Spring Starter project. Okay. This is Make My Trip app. Last time we developed this Make My Trip application by using REST template. Today we are going to develop that application by using web client. Next. So here I'm using reactive web dependency. Earlier we used just web dependency. Now we are using reactive web dependency. What is the meaning of reactive web dependency? Reactive web dependency, nothing but it is going to give you Webflux with Netty as a default container. Okay. If you want the UI, then you can add Timeleaf for that one. If you want to use UI in your application, then you can go for Timeleaf. So dev tools to restart the server, Timeleaf for the UI, reactive web we are using to use web client in our application. Next and finish. Right. So with this, our Make My Trip application is getting created. UI already we developed in the previous application. I will reuse the same UI, guys. We no need to redevelop that once again. Okay. Just I'm going to create my binding classes and I will create my service logic and I will execute this application now. So before getting into the coding part, let us run this application and see what is the server it is going to give us. So earlier we added web starter in our pom.xml. Now we are adding reactive web starter in the pom.xml. When you select reactive web dependency, it is going to give you Webflux dependency. Webflux nothing but reactive web, guys, which supports for reactive programming. Let me run this application normally, run as boot application. Let us see which server it is going to start and on which port number that server is going to start. I'm waiting for server to start now. Yes, it is getting hang. So I think it is getting hang. Let me restart my IDE. Yeah. Run as boot application. Now, this time it is getting started. The application started with port number 8080. And can you see what is the server it is using, guys? Is it using Tomcat server or it is using a different server now? So can you tell me what is the server it is using now? If you add just web starter, it will use Tomcat as a embedded container. But now we are using reactive web starter. So it is using Netty as a embedded container with the port number 88. Good. So when you are developing any client application, the very first thing we need to do is understand our API and develop binding classes for our API. So this is our API. Let us access Swagger for that one, swagger-ui.html. So our REST API is running in the AWS cloud. For that REST API, Swagger documentation is available. We are accessing that Swagger documentation to understand this information. Now, here passenger class is available and here ticket class is available. So passenger data will be represented in one object format. Ticket data will be represented in the another object format. So we are going to develop a consumer by using web client. So already we developed consumer by using REST template. REST template supports synchronous communication, whereas web client supports asynchronous communication. So in order to develop this consumer, we need to create binding classes now. So new class passenger dot bindings, right? So in the passenger class, what are the variables we need to take? So if you see here, it will represent the format. Name we need, email, we need the name, email. That means what data we need to send in the request, that is represented by Swagger in the documentation. Name, email, from address, then to address, then date of journey, then train number. Name, email, from, to, date of journey, and train number is available. So this name and all these things are strings only. So I'm taking them as private string name, private string email, private string from, date of journey, and train number. We can take it as a integer. Okay. So this is a class which is representing input data format. That means request. Consumer should send a request to the provider, post request. When the consumer sending a post request to the provider, that will be represented in this format. Train number also we are taking as a string only. So if you see the request structure, you will understand what data provider is expecting, what is the type of the data. So name, email, from, to, date of journey, train number. This information we need to send to the provider in the JSON format. To send that data to the provider, consumer is representing one class. That class will represent that data. This class object will be converted to JSON format. Now, as we are having these variables, let us use some setters and getters for this. Perfect. With this, our passenger class is ready. Then next one, when we send passenger data as an input for the ticket booking, what we are getting? We are getting this ticket information as a response. So you can see the ticket details here, ticket number, okay, name, email, from, to, journey, train number, and status. So these are the information we are getting as a response. So we need to create one more class for response mapping. So that is ticket class. Okay. So common variables are available and some extra variables. The extra variables are train number and ticket status. Private, integer, train number. Private integer train number is available, ticket number basically. What is that? Ticket number. Yes, so we are taking ticket number, and one more thing is status. So what is the status of the ticket? Private string status. So this is used to represent response given by the provider. So consumer will send passenger data as an input for the provider. Provider will give ticket data as a output. So let us generate setters and getters for these variables also. Yes, setters, getters I have generated. With this, our ticket is ready. Passenger data is ready. Ticket is ready. Now the most important part here, service implementation. So we should write the business logic to send the request from consumer to provider. Okay. So we should write the business logic to send the request from consumer to provider. So earlier we used REST template as a mediator. Now we need to use web client as a mediator. This is my consumer application and this is my provider application. Provider application is already up and running. It is available in AWS cloud. Now we are developing our consumer application. This consumer application should communicate with the provider. Provider will give response to the consumer. How many ways we can develop this consumer? In the Spring Boot, we have 3 ways to develop the consumer. One is by using REST template. One is by using REST template. Second one is by using web client. Third one is by using FIAN client. One is by using REST template. Second one is by using web client. Third one is by using FIAN client. So we already developed by using REST template. Now we are going to develop by using web client. Okay. Now for web client, we already added Webflux starter. So let me create one service here. New class ticket service. Okay. So I'm creating one service package. So make my trip service. You can create an interface and you can implement it, or you can directly create the logic also. Last time, what we have done in the service, guys. So if you see, this is our service that we have created in the last session. So let me refer this service here. So if you observe, we have created this service in the last session. So what we have done in this service, we used REST template to send the request. Okay. So this is our API URL. We are sending a post request by using REST template. Then we are getting ticket data as a response. Similarly, to get all the tickets, we are using get for entity method by using REST template. Now, I want same methods, but logic I'm going to change. So what we will be changing, we don't need any REST template now. Remove this. We don't need the REST template now. Remove this. Okay. Now, by using web client, I should be able to send the request to this URL. This is URL to book the ticket, post request. Passenger data is the input, ticket data is the output. And this is the URL which is mapped to get request. If I send the request to this URL, I will be getting all the tickets in the JSON format. Got it? Now, how to send a post request by using web client? Already we have seen how to send post request and get request by using REST template. But now I want to send post and get request by using web client. I created one service class which is using @service annotation. This is book ticket method. This method is expecting passenger object as an input, and this method is giving ticket object as the output. So this passenger, whatever the passenger object we have, that passenger data we will send to the provider in the request body. Provider will send ticket data as a response to us. Provider will send ticket data as a response to us. Here, get all the tickets. We will send a get request to this URL, and we are not sending any input for this get request because we just want to get the data. Provider will send all the tickets data in the JSON format. The JSON data we will map into our Java object. The JSON data will map to our Java object. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? So you understand what we need to do? Yes. Now remove this REST template logic. Remove this REST template logic. Let us write the web client logic here. I'm removing REST template. I'm going for web client now. In order to work with the web client, what we need to do? First, we need to create the web client object. How do we create the web client object? By using web client dot create. Web client dot create. It is going to give me web client object. Okay. Web client dot create method, which is going to give me our web client object. By using this web client, I want to send a post request. Okay. So how do we send that post request? Web client dot post. Post method will represent post request. To which URL you want to send it. Dot URI API URL is available. Okay. Then body. I want to send some data in the body. Okay. Body inserters dot from value. I have the body data in the form of object. Let me pass my passenger object dot retrieve. I want to retrieve the response and body to mono. I want to map that data to the ticket dot class. That's it. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Here I'm using web client dot post. Here I'm using web client dot post. What is the meaning of web client dot post here? I want to send a post request by using web client. To which URL you want to send the post request? Web client dot post to this URL, and in that request you send the data in the request body. So you take this passenger object and you send the data in the request body. After sending the request, you will get the response from that. You retrieve that response from the body and you map that response to ticket object. Body to mono. Mono represents a single object, guys. So when you are expecting, when you want to represent data in single object, we send the request, we got the response in the single shot, then we will represent that by using body to mono. Now, what is the return type of this? It is going to return mono of ticket. It is going to return mono of ticket object. Yeah, it is going to return mono of ticket object. Here, I'm also going to return mono of ticket object. Okay, return that body to mono object. Look at this logic. Earlier, when you use REST template, directly we are calling a method called post for entity. But now we are calling we are calling web client dot post method. I want to send you a post request dot URI, to which URL you want to send a post request dot body, what data you want to send in the request body. Once you send the request, you will get some response from the provider, retrieve the response from the response body, and you map that response to ticket object, which is body to mono. Are you able to understand this logic? Guys, all of you able to understand the logic that we have created? Mono is a reactive component, guys. Mono and flux components will be available in the reactive programming. Mono represents a single object, flux represents a stream of objects. Mono represents a single object, flux represents stream of objects. Here, body to mono means once we send the request to the provider, if you see here, once we send the request to the provider, we will get the response in the ticket JSON format. I'm telling to take the ticket JSON from the request response body and map that response to ticket object. Body to mono means you take the JSON data sending by the provider and you map that JSON data to ticket object. So when we send a post request, how many tickets we are getting? Are we going to get only one ticket, or we are going to get multiple tickets, guys? We are going to get only one ticket, or we are going to get multiple tickets when we send the post request? Only one ticket. So if you are getting only one ticket, then we will represent that as a mono object. If you are getting more than one, that means a stream. If you are getting the tickets continuously, then we are going to represent as a flux. In this scenario, we are going to get it as mono. In this scenario, we are going to get it as mono. Body to mono means map that data to this object. We are sending passenger data in the JSON format. We are getting ticket data also in the JSON format. Whatever the ticket JSON we are getting, map that ticket JSON data to ticket object. For that, we are using body to mono method. Dot post means send a post request. Dot URI means to which URL you want to send the request. Dot body means what data you want to send in the request body. Dot retrieve means take the data from the response body. Dot body to mono, map that JSON response to ticket object. That is the meaning of that. Are you clear with the web client logic to send a post request? Now we need to write another logic to map that data to get all the tickets. Are you clear with this point? Can we write the logic by using get request? I want to send a get request to get all the tickets. I want to get all the tickets. Right. Now, see here, same concept here also. We need to get the web client object. Web client is an interface, so we cannot. REST template is a class. Directly we are able to create the object by using REST template RT is equal to new REST template. But when we go for web client, it is an interface. We cannot create the object by using new operator. That's why I'm using web client dot create method, which is giving the web client object. Once we get the web client object, then we are going to use the methods given by the web client to make a request. Here we are using dot post method, which is used to send a post request. Now we need to use get request, right? Web client dot get. I want to make a get request dot URI, so which is our API URL dot any body that we need to send, guys. Do we need to send any body for that? No. So for post request, we will send the data in the body, but for the get request, body will not be available. Web client.get, I want to make a get request dot URI. This is my API URL. Retrieve. Take the data from the response body and map body to mono. So we are getting the response in the single shot. Multiple tickets we are getting. So we are going for ticket array dot class. I'm mapping the response data to ticket array dot class, which will give mono of ticket array. Which will give mono of ticket array. This is the return type of my method. Mono of ticket array will be available. Let me return this mono of ticket array. So this is the logic to send a post request by using web client, and this is the logic to send get request by using web client. You look at this. Post request and get request. The only difference, first method is having a request body because we are sending a request to book the ticket. Passenger data we need to send in the request body. Second one is a get request, which does not have a body. Sir, can we take flux here? Flux means continuous response, guys. So we can't take the flux here. So when to go for flux is when I send a request, continuously I'm getting the response like a stream. Then we need to go for the flux. But here we are not getting the response continuously. Once you send the request, in single shot, you will get all the response. So when you are getting the response in a single shot, we need to go for mono. So this mono and flux concepts, we are going to learn in the reactive programming. We have that as part of syllabus. Okay. What is mono, what is flux, that we are going to learn in the coming classes as part of our reactive programming concept. Today we are understanding web client. So once we get the web client, how do we send the request to the web client? How do we receive the response? How to map that response? Are you guys clear with the logic that we are writing? Guys, guys, are you clear with the service IMPL? So currently, whatever the requests we are sending by using web client, these are synchronous requests only. These are not asynchronous requests. So we are sending synchronous request only. That means after sending the request, it will wait for the response. Later we will see how to send asynchronous request by using web client. Currently we are using web client to send only synchronous request. By using web client, we can send asynchronous request also. But in this example, we are using web client to send only synchronous request. Here it will send a synchronous post request. Here also it will send get request with synchronous concept. What is the meaning of synchronous? After sending the request, it will wait for the response. Now, controller and UI pages already we created. Same things we are going to use, guys. There is no difference. So one page, one method will be available to display the page, one method to handle the form submission, one method to get all the tickets which are available. I will reuse the controllers that we have previously created by using REST template concept. No need to redevelop them again. Controllers. So I'm going to take this name as make my trip controller. Yep. Let us reuse the same thing now. Make my trip controller. Get mapping. Yeah. So here we have created make my trip controller. We injected make my trip service. So the return type is changed now. Earlier we have just ticket response. Now we have mono of ticket we are having. Okay. Now, how do we send your ticket got booked, ticket booked, book ticket is available. Now, book ticket dot block, which will give you the ticket object. Block nothing but our ticket. Now, ticket dot get ticket number. So similarly, earlier we have list of tickets. Now we have mono of ticket array. We are getting a ticket array in the form of mono object. So let me change this. All tickets we are getting in the array format. That array I'm sending to the UI. That's it. Just method return types got changed. The remaining things are same. So we should have two pages, guys. One is index page. Another one is book ticket page. So let me create those pages in the templates folder. Go to resources. Make my trip application resources. Properties file is available. Main resources. Templates folder is not there. Let me create the folder. Templates. In the resources templates folder, in the templates folder, we are creating one file with a name called index.html and another file we need to create with a name called bookticket.html. New file bookticket.html. Okay. Now if you go here, this one is booking the ticket and this one is displaying the ticket. Displaying the tickets is part of index.html. Let me take this content. So by default, this page will be loaded when we access our application. Then whenever you click on add book new ticket, this book ticket page will be loaded. Let me take this content. So this logic we developed in the previous project, I'm reusing that same logic. Okay, we are good. So what we have developed, we created one project by using reactive web starter. Then next one, we have taken passenger class. We have taken passenger class, which is a binding, which is used to map our request data. And we have taken ticket class, which is used to take response. Okay. Then we created one service. The main difference from last application and today's application is service only. Earlier, we accessed that provider by using REST template. Now we are accessing that provider by using web client. Okay. Then controller is available. Inside the controller, we have methods. One method is used to display the index page. One method is used to display book ticket page. One method is used to book the ticket. Index.html contains the logic to display all the tickets. Okay. Then book ticket.html page is available, which is used to display the form where we can book the ticket. Let us execute this application and see, is it working as expected or not? Maven update the Maven project. Provider is already running in the AWS. Now we are working on consumer part. So refresh, right click, run as boot application. It started with the netty port number as 8080. Now go to browser. Let us access our application. Localhost colon 8080. Yes, perfect. So there are 5 tickets already available in our system. So we are able to access all the 5 tickets. So how come all the tickets are coming here? When you see in our controller, we are giving slash as a URL pattern. So when you send the request without anything in the URL pattern, by default, this method will be called. What this method is doing? Get all tickets it is calling. What get all tickets method is doing? It is using web client. Web client.create. Web client object is created. It is sending a get request to that URL and it is retrieving the response. The response will come in the JSON format. If you see this URL, if you directly access in the browser, the tickets data will come in the JSON format. Okay. If you directly access this URL, the tickets data will come in the JSON format. But when we access through web client, what happened? The JSON data is converted to Java object. So we are having multiple tickets, 5 tickets available. That's why we are getting the response in the form of ticket array. The ticket array we are sending to the UI by using model.add attribute. The only thing which is new is mono. So mono and flux related to reactive programming. In the coming sessions, we are going to learn about those topics. So we are sending a get request to the given URL and we are retrieving the response and we are mapping the response to our ticket array and we are returning the ticket array. That ticket array we are sending to the UI and in the UI we are iterating that collection and we are printing the data in the table format, which we are able to see here. Okay. Now go for book ticket option. Okay. So when I click on book ticket method button, what will happen? It will go to this post request. It will take the passenger data. It will give to service method. It will book the ticket and it will give the ticket details for us. Let me book it. Ashok from HYD to Ongole. Date of journey 13th/01/2024. Train number 0987. Book ticket. It failed. Block loss or blocking, which is not supported in the thread reactor. When I'm sending a post request, it is blocking. Okay, let us see here. When I access, my ticket is booked. I have given the details from Hyderabad to Ongole tomorrow date. Ticket is confirmed, but the thing, we are getting some exception. The exception we are getting whenever you access book ticket.block method. Book ticket.block method. Whenever we access, we are getting the exception. Your ticket booked. Okay. So let me you message your ticket got booked. Directly we are not able to access the ticket data. Now, how do we get the data from the mono? Book ticket dot. I want to get the content. Inside that block, we have the object. I want to get that object. From that object, I need to get the ID. Is there any method for that? I got the mono object. From the mono, I need to get the ticket data. From that, I need to get the ticket ID. When I call block, it is failing. Okay, for now, let us remove this. We'll see how do we access that object from this mono. Book ticket, ticket is booked, the book ticket is available, your ticket is booked, then I will send this book object directly. Modal dot add attribute key ticket ID. Yeah. Now book ticket. I will send whatever the ticket we booked. I'm sending that complete ticket data to the UI. Right. Now using this ticket, I will access that message. Text message is available. Now here I'm going to use this. Your ticket got booked. Let me access this one. TH text dollar of ticket dot ticket ID. What is the ticket which is available? That ticket number basically. I want to access it. Yeah. Your ticket booked message will come with the ticket number we are going to display. Okay, let's try this. Clear the console. Book ticket. Is it not restarted? Stop the server. Refresh. Right click, run as boot application. Clear the console. I'm sending a get request, which is getting all the tickets. Then click on book ticket method. Okay. When you go for book ticket, get request method, get mapping, book ticket. In the book ticket page, it is expecting the ticket data. Ticket is not available. Let me send one empty ticket object here. It is expecting for ticket object when the page is loading, because in this we are accessing ticket.ticket number. As the ticket object is not available, the page is not able to load. This time it should work. Yeah. View tickets, click on book ticket. Now let me create a new ticket now. Ashok from Guntur to Hyderabad. Date of journey 20th Jan 2024. Train number 0123. Click on book ticket. Your ticket booked ID coming as 1. View tickets now. So you can see that my ticket is booked from Guntur to Hyderabad with 20. Yes, with this, we are able to send a get request and we are able to send a post request by using web client. Right. So if you see here, this method is mapped to /URL. That means index method. Index page will be loaded. What we are doing in the index page, whenever we access localhost colon 8080, this method will be called. What this method is doing, service.get all tickets, which is getting all the tickets from the URL, and it is mapping those tickets JSON data to one ticket array. Good. I'm making a get request by using web client. Similarly, here I'm making a post request by using web client. Controller and UI pages are previously we developed. The new thing is service, web client. We implemented our service by using web client. Let me give that service here. Service using web client. So minor changes we have done in the controller. The controller change is earlier the return type was object and list. Now the return type is mono. It is representing the return types in the mono format. I'm giving. So changes from the UI side not available. UI is same. Only the change is the service logic is changed. Earlier we sent the request by using REST template. Now we are sending the request by using web client. Guys, by using web client, what type of request we are sending? Is it a synchronous request or is it a asynchronous request? By using web client, we are sending a synchronous request or we are sending a asynchronous request. Come on. By using web client, we are sending a synchronous request or we are sending asynchronous request. Synchronous request. Currently, in this application, we are sending synchronous request by using our web client. Sir, how to send asynchronous request by using web client? In future classes, we are going to learn that. So here, after this one, if you call a method called subscribe method, then that will become asynchronous request that we will discuss in the next session. Upcoming classes, we are going to learn how to send asynchronous request by using web client. Currently, we are using web client to send synchronous request only. Okay, fine guys, good. So with this, we understood consumer development by using REST template and consumer development by using web client. Okay, good. Anybody having any questions, you can unmute and you can ask me. I will be updating the notes, so please do the practice by using web client. I will update the notes in our portal. Anybody having any questions, you can unmute and you can ask me.
Sir, please get rid of this hard-coded one, sir, the URL.
Yeah, in the best practices we are going to learn. In the coming classes, I will tell you how to remove this URL from the Java class. We will call in the properties file.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Sir, if the provider can't send the data, so how to configure the consumer so that the application will not break?
Sorry, can you come again?
Like we are sending request from consumer to provider, sir. So if the provider can't send the response data, so how to configure the consumer code so that the application will not break, the consumer code?
I'm not getting your question, sir.
Exception handling he is asking, I think.
No.
Yeah. Like
are
we
you
are
talking
sending,
about exception?
like we are sending post request, sir, to a provider.
Okay,
so what if we are not getting data from the provider?
So if you are not getting, some exception occurs at the provider, we will handle that exceptions. Yep. So that we will discuss in the exception handling.
Okay.
Hi, sure.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, actually, here we are seeing the URLs. Once we are providing URLs, is there any way to secure that URLs so no need to other access?
In the Spring Security, we are going to learn that, sir. Whatever the URL that we are accessing, right? Currently, directly we are able to access the provider URL. But in the real time, you can't access the provider URLs directly. There will be a security for that. We need to pass through that security, then only we will be able to access the provider. Currently, our provider is not secure. That's why directly we are able to hit the provider URL. But in the real time, the URLs will be protected by using security. So we'll discuss how to access secured providers also.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
These questions are asked for the interview.
Yeah, in the upcoming classes, we are going to learn that.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Sir, I have one question, sir. In a list of the ticket, you are using, sir, mono. Can I know that, sir? Why? List of the ticket, but
I already told you, web client is for reactive programming. When we are working with the reactive programming, we are going to use mono and flex concepts. Mono represents the response will come to the consumer in one shot. When the consumer send a request to the provider, provider will give the whole response in the single shot. That will be represented by using mono. Suppose in future we will see flux concept. Flux nothing but stream of responses. Stream response is nothing but when you send a request for every 1 second, for every 1 minute, you will be getting the response from the provider. If you are getting the response continuously for every 1 second, for every 1 minute, then we will represent that by using flux.
Sir, just like in the way, sir, only one ticket find out a multiple number of tickets, sir. Just like one time I found out only one ticket, and another time more than person is available. So how to handle that, sir? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Can you come again?
Sir, actually, I'm asking that, sir. If here is the we find out the multiple number of ticket, just multiple number of person available. So in this mono right, we can find out, sir.
Yes, you can do that. You can get one or multiple objects. The thing is, it's not about one ticket or it's not about multiple tickets. It's all about how much time it is taking to send a response for you. The complete response is coming in one shot. That's why we will go with mono. Flux means for every 1 second you will get one response. That is different concept. So in the reactive programming, you will learn that.
Sir, what is
Thank
the difference between mono and list, sir, then? I mean, so
Sir,
it is
mono.
list also store the form, I mean,
Listen,
tickets. Yeah.
listen. Mono and list we cannot compare, first of all. Okay. List is just like an object, right?
Yeah.
You can take one object, or you can take list of objects, or you can take map of objects also. Mono is like a container which will represent a response. That's it. Inside that container, you can keep one object, or you can keep list of objects. You can keep map, you can keep a string, you can keep integer. That's your choice.
Okay, combination of everything, you mean?
Yes, it supports everything. It is like a container.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, sir. If we move the AWS instance from stop state to the running state again, like can we directly access in that case? Like, can we access the Swagger directly, or do we need to do something?
You need to rerun the application. So once you stop your machine, right, that will be stopped. No? You need to rerun your application.
So like we just need to rerun the application.
Yeah, that is the reason. From that day onwards, I have not stopped my server. We are able to access that URL. So if you complete your practice today, then I will stop my server.
Okay.
Today I will stop this server. Yep.
Sir, when are started our exception handling topic?
Upcoming classes.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Synchronization of request. Synchronization of request. Are we going to do, sir?
This is synchronous request only, sir.
So multiple users are trying to do booking at same time. So
that is a threading concept. That's not coming to, that is synchronization. It is a synchronous.
Okay.
That is both are different.
Yeah.
So here, after sending a request, it will wait for the response. After getting the response, then it will return the response. That's why it is called synchronous request. By using web client, you can send a synchronous request. You can send asynchronous request also.
Okay. How to avoid that multiple the conflict? So if multiple users are trying to
that multi-threading, you need to implement with the synchronized methods or synchronized blocks concept.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, in book ticket, we use a ticket.class, and in get ticket, we use a ticket array.class. But we created just a ticket.class. How can we use a ticket array.class?
Sir, once you have the class, that class you can represent as an array, right? Here, the meaning of ticket.class is we are getting the response that can be stored into one object. But here we are getting the multiple ticket arrays. So every ticket will be stored into one ticket object. All the ticket objects will be represented in one array. If you create a class like employee, so we can create employee array also. You have a class called employee. Then you can create employee array also. No? Similarly, I have a ticket class. For that, I will create an array to store group of objects.
Okay, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes. When I try to like post for object in REST template, I am getting only ticket object, but you are getting the wrapper response entity of ticket, but I am getting only the ticket object. Like
Sir,
what might be there?
Ticket for object method will give you direct data. It will not give you response header, response status code and all that stuff. That is the reason we are using entity. When you call post for entity method, it will give you response entity of the object. When you go for post for object, you will get only ticket data. You will not get the headers and status. That's why we don't use post for object method. We will use post for entity methods. That is recommended.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have one little confusion. Sir, when we take serializable in repository interface,
So when you are using repository interface serializable, if your primary key data type is a object or it is a different type, then generic type you will take as a serializable. Okay, otherwise you can take string or integers. It depends on the data type of your primary key, sir.
okay,
If
sir.
you want a generic primary key type, then you can go for serializable, or else if your primary key is a number, you can take as an integer. If your primary key is a string, then you can take string. It depends on that. So there is no much difference for that.
Thank
It
you,
does
sir.
not change your functionality.
Hello, sir. What is body inserters?
To send the data in the request body, whatever the data we have in the object format, that object should be converted to JSON. JSON data should go in the body.
So what is the exact role? So it's just converting the object in the JSON,
Correct.
or we are just
Yes,
doing
it will
serialization?
take this. It will take this object. It will convert into JSON. That JSON it will keep in the request body.
Okay.
Sir,
how
can
to
we
pass
send
how to
get
pass
method?
request headers?
There will be a method directly here, sir. Dot headers. Key
Okay.
comma value. Whatever the header you want to send.
Authorization, so we can add
Yes.
it, sir, here.
Dot header method will be available.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sir, can you request web client dot get method?
This is web client dot get.
No, sir, in that request for not getting, sir, for sending request, can you send get method?
I'm not getting your question.
For that, sir, that get request, can you send in that? Not here, sir. That in upper wala. Here,
Here,
can you send? Sir.
how do you send get request, man? API is mapped to post request. Now, ticket booking is a post method. How do you send a get request for that? You cannot. Then what is the purpose of the documentation? In the documentation, they clearly told book ticket method is mapped to post request. You need to send only post request. If you send get request, it will not accept.
Okay, sir.
Sir, are you going to implement multi-threading concept in the upcoming sessions?
Sir, multi-threading is a core Java topic. Sir, in the project batch that will be covered, not in the Spring Boot.
Okay. In the project you will cover, right?
Yes, right.
And cascading problems
Yes, yes.
in the project only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, if you want to delete a particular record, suppose I send the ID, then how to fetch it in the path variable?
You need to take that ID. Suppose, for example, if you want to send the ID, you need to keep that URL like this, and you need to send that here. Dot URI method will take the ID that whatever you want to send like this. Comma, like 10 you need to send. Then it is going to delete that request. That means whatever the ID you want to send, you can send like this in the URI method parameter you can pass. And whatever the ID that you want to send, you need to represent that ID in the URL also.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, we are returning mono in service layer to controller layer. So in
Correct.
controller, this mono type is, I mean, what we are typecasting to that, or how we are handling
No
that?
need to, sir. You can send the mono directly to the UI. I'm
Okay.
sending the same thing, right?
Okay.
Whatever the mono object I'm getting, mono I'm sending to the UI directly. Here also mono of tickets I'm getting, I'm sending that as it is to the UI. In the UI, you can access this by using its key. In the UI
Okay.
layer, no change.
Okay. Just as a container, we are iterating the object in UI.
Correct.
Hello, sir.
All good. Yes.
There is a real-time use of REST template and web client because we creating a consumer-side application with the help of Angular or React.
That's fine, sir. You can create Angular application for accessing, but your front end is Angular, your back end is Spring Boot. From your Spring Boot, you want to access another company application. Then how do you do that?
Okay, sir. We can, yeah, that time we have to use.
Your project is developed by using REST APIs. Your front end is by using Angular. Your Angular application will access your backend REST API. Your backend REST API should access another company application. Then you should go with either REST template or web client.
Okay, sir.
Okay, cool. Good, guys. Thank you. With this, I'm stopping for today. And guys, so we have Pongal holidays. I will give the update regarding the Pongal holidays today in our WhatsApp group. Okay, thank you. We'll meet in the next session. I will update the holidays information. Today by afternoon, I will confirm the dates for that. Thank you, guys. Today evening we have JRTP class as usual. At 6 p.m. it will start. Today we have a long session. 6 to 9 we have the class for Java project batch.